about business partnerships and are they worth the risk? That's what we're talking about today. We have two special guests on here who haven't been on our podcast before. So I'm going to go ahead and let you two introduce yourselves, let them know where they can find you and what you do for work, and then we'll jump right into the topics. Go ahead.
So I'm Nushin Radgari and Nunu. I have a podcast called Her Opinion Show, and I work for Spike Sport Volleyball and have an image media agency for branding company. Anything else? What else do you want me to say?
Where can they find you?
Oh, at Just New News Life and Her Opinion Show.
Awesome.
My name is Janine Cassio. I am the CEO and founder of Simple Lending Financial. We do direct private lending nationwide for business purpose real estate transactions. And you could find Simple Lending Financial through any of our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And I'm Nate Balderas. I'm the master broker for Lionsgate Realty. And despite what anybody says, I love support women and women empowerment.
Okay, so
and he was not paid to say that.
Yeah, with that being said, let's jump right into the topic. Everybody here in this room has some kind of business partnership. Whenever you guys decided to take on that person, or whether it was from the very beginning or later down the road, what kind of risk did you see? Did you even think about risk? Have you heard about horror stories? We always hear it whenever it comes to family, right? Like, don't ever get your family involved. But some of us in this room do have family involved in their business. What do you guys think about that?
Who's starting?
Whoever.
It's an open conversation.
I work with family, so I can start with that. So when my dad started his company, it was just me and him. It can be a nightmare. It is a nightmare. But one of the things is that we're dependable, we're loyal. So that works for us. He's always just been like, don't get a partner because, you may not agree, blah, blah, blah. And I don't agree with that because a lot of times we have no one else to depend on. So it falls on us. And I think that's not always the case because when I started another business, I have a partner. And while it works for us, it doesn't always work for everybody else because I've tried other ventures with other people and it didn't work. So I think it just depends on the people. I think you have to get to know the person first before you can actually go into business with them. It can kill relationships for sure.
That's true. And it's something that's like, at least that we've seen. Well, I don't know anything else besides working with people who have either family ties or been friends and then became partners. So whenever I see it, I remember one of the biggest things that I used to tell my family members, it'd be like, well, how do y'all work together, as a group? Since you are family, it'd be like, well, we argue, and then 5 minutes later, we go out to eat together. And it's like business has to stay business. It can never get intertwined with the personal. The moment that gets personal, then I've seen it fall apart. Mm-hmm. And Nate, you could speak to that.
Yeah, definitely. I have a cutoff time. After a certain time, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And if I yell or scream at you or get on you during the day for something that you did wrong or something you were supposed to do, you shouldn't carry that on into the night or into the evening or to the weekend. I mean, it is what it is. Business is business, family is family. It's super different, super separate and to me. And I've always kept it that way. I know it's tough, when my daughter actually started working with us, and I remember, she cried one time, and she's like, I feel like, I'm at work with you, and then I get home, and it's like
too much.
You're getting after me. You're still getting after me at home. You're getting after me at work. You're getting after me, and then it's just, and so it was a little bit different. The dynamics changed whenever my daughter joined the ranks, right? Because then that was a whole separate matter that I had to deal with, and that was in the okay. You know what? You're right.
Your daughter is now looking for your respect.
Yeah.
And it's very hard because I know that feeling, mm-hmm. and I've said this before, that I'm constantly looking for him to approve, recognize, or always see the value in what I do. And for him, he treats it like anybody else, right? To where it's like, oh, you could be doing this, you could be doing that. And sometimes that's the difference between a woman and a man, because we are emotional. And men don't see that side.
Yeah.
And for women, we like to know that we're doing what we're supposed to do and that we're valued.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Janine, feel free to jump in at any time. Yeah.
I mean, my perspective, too, is just like the people closest to me just dove in and believed in my goals. I have an equity partner within my company, and I truly wouldn't be where I'm at today without him believing in me, probably even before I believed in me, right? And then I have my dad and a very good friend of mine who are invested within my fund. So yeah, I don't think that there should be that much of a separation of family and business, especially when you're going all in on you and on your dreams. I do, I do love the support. My dad investing in my company was something that I'm truly grateful for.
Your dad invested in you?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like I got investment from like a well-off like dad passed money down. Like this is like a middle class, like he was a cop, retired, and invested in my fund. And that was probably one of the greatest investments I got, just because it was a little bit of that validation of I trust you managing my money. And it was just great. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I think, when it comes to friends and family, right? Doing business with friends and family is tough sometimes when they don't understand your business, right? But honestly, if whenever you're dealing like with like immediate family, right? Like dad, sister, brother, stuff like that, I feel like that's a little bit harder because they live with you, they know you, and you have that background, right? But when you're investing with like cousins or like with friends, real close friends, I think that dynamics there is really good because they know the separation between the family. They're not expecting you to pay their bills. They're not expecting you to borrow money from you. They're not expecting any of that. They know, they're like, hey, you know what? Instead of going and giving money to this guy, or instead of putting my time in really to this guy, I'm gonna put in time to my and there's a future there for me. It's not. It is harder for you to let go of family members. You'll put up with a lot, of training, before you finally say, hey, you know what? I think this is not for you, bro. You gotta go. And sometimes they appreciate that, and they'll double down and give you more of their time and more of their their talent if they have any, or sometimes they'll develop talent, and I've had all of that happen.
I think it definitely goes well if it goes well. And if you're business savvy and you understand that, then it usually turns out well. But when it doesn't is the problem. And like, oh, I invested in this money and, blah, 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 that, you said whatever it is, let's say real estate, and the flip didn't go well or whatever. That's when you have the issue, because when you make money, it's always great. But when maybe it's a down situation or the business doesn't work, that's the tough part. I think whether it's family or friend, that do you, stay solid afterwards, or does it have a rift, Because if it's family, then that everybody's talking about you. Somebody in the family is talking bad.
They're always talking bad about you. Yeah.
I think you could be proactive too, just like when you're getting married, of coming into an arrangement where what happens when this goes bad. So before, getting in bed with a family member, that sounded bad, but like getting into business with a family member, of like, hey, if this were to be in the negative, like, how are we going to handle it? And having that direct communication and transparency. And I think a lot of the issues just come from not being proactive and transparent, and having that strong communication.
And I do believe that honesty is probably like one of the bigger things that's important within a partnership, whether it be a family member or somebody who just wants to partner up with you. That honesty, whether you screw something up or you see something that the other person is screwing up on and you want to bring them and, give them a coming to Jesus moment, that's important. Because if you continue just to let it linger, it's just going to continue to turn into a bigger issue. Then it's going to cause more damage instead of just being upfront with it.
Something that I learned the hard way, right, is that, not everybody is an entrepreneur. Not everybody, understands or will ever understand how businesses run, And another thing that I understood in the hard way too was that not everybody's a business partner, And so I'm very careful about who I make a business partner, and I'm very careful about who I even allow to come work with me, because not everybody understands it, you know? And the thing is that what I always say, right? If, you know, a business partner should never be working against you. And the thing is that, and I say that all this time, and a lot of people, they're like, oh no, that's not true. And I'm like, whenever you get a business partner, right? He's fulfilling something that you can't do. That's what you need him for.
You complement each other.
Yes. And the thing is that if he's out doing his own thing or working on something else that is taken away from you, right? It's really hard to partner up with that person, you know? His interests, you know, because two business partners are never going to have the same interests. It's impossible. Even if you're, a husband and wife, your interests are going to be different. Your wants, your vision, everything is going to be different. So when you're getting with a business partner, you know that he has a whole different life, mindset, everything. The only thing that you have to worry about is that whatever his interests are, don't contradict directly with your interests. If they contradict directly with your interests, then that's not a business partner. If his interests, right, complements your interests or helps you in what you're doing, it's you know, that's whenever you're supposed to partner up with somebody. It's kind of like is it Rockefeller? I like to watch these shows, right? I think it was Rockefeller, right? That he invented gas. Gas was a byproduct, right? That you know, that it was useful. They were throwing it away, you know, and so him processing of oil, you know, made gas, right? I mean, that's the type of, you know, I know the concept's a little weird, right? But that's the type of business partner you should have, to where whatever your byproduct is feeding his engine, and his byproduct is feeding yours, and you keep going.
And they should complement. You should have to carry them,
definitely.
or them carry
Definitely.
you.
Well, I also heard this line that was like, I'll only hire someone that I could then see myself actually working for as well. Like you almost want that person to have, you know, strong characteristics, discipline, and you could see almost the reverse. Like I would work with that person and for that person as well.
Yeah, that goes with like me in sports. And when we coach our girls, the biggest thing is like, I watched a podcast where they talked about you should put on, if you're going for a job interview, that you played sports, because you come with discipline already. You come with being a team player. You understand how to work. It's not just you. So I think that's so important too, if you're going to go in partnership with somebody, because it's not just going to be about you. A lot of people think it's always about them, and they don't like if you take a partner in and don't realize that, like, you have to discuss things before you make decisions. You've got to both be on the same team to win. And when one's moving and the other one's not, and you're going in two different directions, it just doesn't work. And I've been there, and that was a friend of mine. And I thought, we're going into interviews trying to get clients, and she brought up something that we weren't even selling. And I'm thinking, like, I know this is not, what is she thinking? Like, seriously. And it was just crazy to me. But she had never been an entrepreneur before. She had never probably been in sales either. And she didn't think she was doing something wrong. But I was like, how are we making money off of a product that you're advertising that we don't sell? And so needless to say, we crashed and burned right after that. Twice she did that. And so going in with like Jen now, we're totally different. Totally different. We complement each other. Where I struggle, she shines. And where she struggles, I shine. And so that's so important, because we're not sensitive either. Like, if I tell her something's not working, she doesn't get upset about it, and the vice versa for me. And I think that's important. You know, no sensitivity when it comes to partnership, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
How do you guys feel about whenever you see these? And the reason why I ask this question, right, because I know both of you are strong women with a team of women that are always around you. How do you feel about whenever you see these women teams, especially like whether it be real estate or whatever it may be, but it doesn't seem like they're actually nurturing the girls or the women within the team. They're more putting them out there to attract the clients, and then there's that one person up top who's getting all the deals. Like, which way would you guys see to actually lead like an all woman team if that's what somebody wanted to do. Because it's something that, I mean, in real estate we get asked all the time. Oh, I want to have just a girls team. You know, what's your guys' opinion on that? Nate, I know you have a strong opinion on that.
I want to hear. I want to hear you.
I'll take the lead, babe.
My opinion on that is you
Here
know,
goes Nate.
my opinion on that is that it's, you know, whenever they do the girls team and they, like you just said, he explained exactly the way they're set up, right? I just feel like that's totally contrary to what real women empowerment people are trying to do. Well, you know, like, you know, you guys talk, I want to do a platform for women to come and do this and do that, you know, and like you said earlier in your interview, you know, hey, you know, I set this thing up and, you know, I eat last, you know, and that's the thing is that nobody here, you know, or nobody in real estate, right, wants to be that person. Nobody wants to be the self-sacrificing, the one that's teaching, the one that's doing it. And Jovani could speak, you know, loudly about this. When he became a sales manager, started helping all his realtors make money, is the first year he made the least money he had ever made in this business because it took time out of his day to get everybody where they needed. And when you have those teams that he's talking about, where it's that one person at the top and it's a bunch of, you know, cute girls at the bottom that are just out there meeting people, bringing in the people, and they're just you know, churning and burning through whatever they bring in, that's just goes totally contrary to what people teach. And what's funny is that, you know, they also blend in very well with your cause. You know, they wear
100%.
pink. You know,
I get mistaken.
They were.
I got something.
Yeah, I get mistaken all the time for like a booth girl, or like, you know, I'll be have my company at a conference and you know, we're sponsoring it, and they'll be like, oh, like who's your sugar daddy behind the company and things like that. So like you can't tick me off more than asking me who my sugar daddy is. It's me, actually. But yeah, I think, one, am I aware that, you know, sex sells, and being a female and having that front facing? Yeah. But at the same time, like, you got to empower people to break out of just being a face. It's not about that. It's about growing and empowering people to step into leadership roles, being a woman-owned business, branching off and doing your own thing, or being a woman in finance. So those are the barriers that I personally think, you know, I'm paving the way to help people overcome. So yeah, obviously I can't stand behind just hiring someone for being front facing at all.
Yeah. I will say that, well, let's get into it. Cute face. Okay, whatever. What's she going to do on the court? Because at the end of the day, are you going to intimidate anybody? Are we going to win any games? Because if not, you're getting on the bench or you're getting cut. At the end of the day, substance matters. You could be a pretty face, but what else do you bring? Because when you open your mouth, I can get through the door, but can I sell the product?
Yeah.
And if I can't, I'm not doing anything. I'm not adding value. And yes, we have a platform, and yes, we put women on, but if you're not truly doing something, you don't need to be here. I mean, it is what it is, and that's just in anything. Yeah, we're putting women on who have a story, who have something to tell, who did something valuable, but it's a business at the end of the day. Yeah. Everything's a business. You know, it's the same in sports. Like, if they're going to cut you from the team, you might be the pretty one with all the followers and you bring all the, you know, the hoopla to the team, but you don't win the games. And you got to win the games, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do.
And we know we were talking about that, you know, that I guess when I went on your podcast, you guys got a lot of hate DM, like, you know, why you got that guy in there, right? You know, but you know, I said one time, right, you know, that exactly what you just said right now, like, okay, so you're pretty, right? You know, okay, who's the next pretty girl that's gonna come?
Right.
I said we age, we all age, even myself, we age. I said, so yeah, sex sells, but you know, you're only relevant until the next person comes in.
You gotta bring something.
Yeah, there's always going to be a new, you know, young person.
But we can't not say that it does work.
No.
Having that girl front facing, it works.
I'm not saying that it doesn't work.
Like, get through the door.
But what I'm saying,
if you got it, use it.
Yes.
Yeah. If you got it, use it.
Use it to your advantage. Yeah.
But you know, when I said that, you know, I got people that were upset with me, right? And I told them this last time too. Like, nobody tells me to my face that they didn't like what I said. They tell other people around me. But I will tell you this, I have not had not one person that got bothered by my comments. come to this podcast, and I've invited them. I only get women that are.
I don't listen. If I offend you, don't come to my podcast. I don't have time.
You know what? I have an open platform that we can talk about it here.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that only women that come here are sure about themselves. They have talent. They know what they're doing.
They can stand on.
They
their
can
own.
stand on their own. And they can. You know, if I say something that they don't like, they can defend it eloquently.
I'm like, bring it.
Yeah,
Bring it.
and
Like,
and
let's
so
go.
and so yeah. So, but you know, you're correct, right? You know, and the same thing. You know, I have daughters, and my daughters are beautiful, and I tell them, hey, look, it's not just about that. All right, you know, you gotta have brains, you gotta be savvy, and you got to be able to take care of yourself. That's not gonna carry you through your whole life.
Sounds like that woman independent.
The-
What we were talking about in the last podcast,
Yeah.
where like you were not about that.
I'm not.
But I mean, you can be all those things and have a supporting husband.
Yes, definitely.
You can be all those things
Yes.
and have a supporting father and right all of that. And I just think that when you step in a room, you should be able to own it
Yes.
and not just off your looks.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
one thing that I'm starting to see, especially now that my team's getting bigger, and I'm getting these women on my team, of course, you know, pretty women, and they turn off like their DMs, and sometimes they don't even want to share the phone number like on the flyers, right? We're hosting an open house, and in my head, you know, thinking as a guy, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you know, you got to open it up. Like, we got it. And the thing is, I had to actually like put myself in their shoes. Like, okay, well, the problem is that they don't know how to vet. So I was like, open up your DMs, put your number there. Anybody who's reaching out to you, asking you to meet up, let them know right off the bat. Yeah, I can meet with you and my manager. We can go meet together.
Yeah.
He's gonna be there with me. And I'll tell you straight up, there is some guys who were actually serious about business. For whatever reason, they reached out to them. We actually were able to get them on buyers
For whatever
reps.
reason.
Right? It's,
Don't you only hire the best?
Exactly, right? So, but it's not like
That
it's
goes back to
it's not
sex
being
sells.
defensive
Yeah,
all the time,
attractiveness
right?
You know what
does.
you hired, so stop.
Exactly. But that's what I was trying to tell them is you don't always have to be on the defense. You know, sometimes they're going to be honest
You
and they want to
do.
work with you because they like you.
I think I have to let you know that as a woman, you always have to be on the defense because you could get caught slipping, and it could
If you
be
don't have somebody who's
disastrous.
watching your back.
Yes,
Don't like I don't
definitely.
let like my realtors, especially if they're new, you don't do anything
Yeah.
without me.
Stay on the defense,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is I get what you're saying. Don't miss a sell, don't miss the opportunity. But women don't get caught slipping because it is a dangerous world out there, and it could just be one. It could be the wrong one, and
That is true.
That nothing's worth like whatever. There's creeps, but at the end of the day, yes, take protection, do whatever you have to do because I just think it's just scary out there and. Sex sells, like you said, and when you're a pretty face out here, they don't think you have substance. They don't think you're smart or you're doing whatever you're supposed to be doing, and you can be in the wrong, situation. And we have to make sure that women understand.
Perfect
protect
example of what you're saying. I had an open house recently, and it was with one of my agents that I'm talking about. And I was there, and I had two other people there with us. So it was like just a few realtors in the house, and some dude like just pulls up, and then she was like, "Oh my God, I know this guy." And she's like, I bet he thought that I was here by myself. And this dude was like an hour away from where our open house was. He's like, oh yeah, I just decided to pull up because I saw, this person had an open house. And she's like, I'm so happy you guys were with us. And that's what I said this in our meeting too. Like if you're a woman, like, especially if you're going to host an open house, you need to have two other
Yeah,
bodies there.
don't do it by
just can't be
yourself.
by yourself. Never meet a client that you've never met in person. Go for
Or
dinner or
be
something like
packing.
that or something.
You gotta
that's
be
it.
packing.
Even then,
Like,
you can knock it out of your hands or something like that. You need more bodies. yeah.
Definitely. I don't think women should be hosting open houses by themselves.
No, absolutely
Seriously,
not.
it's not safe. There are weirdos. Social media has brought weirdos out here, and it's definitely not a safe place.
So this business is really tough for young pretty girls. It's tough for them because
And they're only getting prettier.
because they're calling
And younger.
And
They're
younger,
like,
right?
I'm getting
And
old.
younger. There
This
was-
girl came straight out of college into my office yesterday from an insurance company. I'm like, how old is she? She seems so like young to me. I'm like, damn.
yeah. So they the pretty girls come into this business and they're so used to leave me alone, like don't talk to me, ignoring
know what I'm
people. The guys that are hitting on them, they're used to just deflecting, so whenever they put out, marketing material and people call them, they kind of have that you chase me attitude,
And it is what it is because the guys are getting more annoying.
And I get it. And so the thing is that it's tough for them on that side, right? But the only people that are making it hard for these pretty girls that have self-respect are the realtors that are selling themselves. They're not selling real estate. I mean, I've seen some of these people's numbers, right?
And this is
and
where
it's
it
like,
gets,
yeah. I mean,
gotta watch what you say.
I mean, I say it all the time. I mean, you have these real estate agents, you know, thousands of views, thousands of followers, you know, and then you look at their numbers, and you're like,
but it's not even about that anymore. Let's be honest.
This person sold 3 houses last year.
I know,
Come
but
on.
I'm saying is they're not on the counter sitting anymore. Like, we're putting on real skits, okay? So stop bashing those pretty girls who are now they're putting on skits. Like, it's a whole show on social media. So you got to give them credit. Because they're they're putting time into this, okay?
No. Okay.
Like,
Give
first
them credit
of all,
if they're selling.
No, they're investing into their business. So let's just say, like, I appreciate social media. It's what I do. Now, when I tell you, when I see some good content, I don't know what you're selling, but your content sold me, and I'm calling you because, girl, you did that. And I'm going to call because I'm a woman who has money who can buy. And I'm not calling you, Nate.
Explain to me, explain to me, or describe to me a good skit. A good skit.
Okay, so
give me a good skit. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna say who they are or where they're
that's fine,
with.
that's fine.
But I think they do great content. I don't know if they sell homes or how well they do it, but I like them. And that's what branding is about now. Branding is not about your logo and how badass it looks and how you showed up sharp. It's about the person behind the brand and how they come off to you. It's relatable. And that's where the young people are going. So the old people can keep running on that and saying like, oh, they're not sitting on the counters anymore. They're doing a skit. You engaged me. I'm now in your movie and I want to know how it works. And so that's the crazy thing is because I don't know if you can sell. I won't know till I contact you and I come and you show me what you show me and hopefully it's going to be great. And then I might say, okay, they didn't know what they were doing, but they got me on the video.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying is like, that's where we're at. And I'm not even one of the young cats.
Describe this thing that you saw that caught you.
I think it's mostly like the trending
the
reels
trending
that are on stuff.
That they're
like
actually putting a skit involved into it.
For instance, like I put this video out of like what's on my desk. And I invite people to see what I have on my desk, the books on my bookshelf. And I've gotten so many responses of like, awesome video, awesome, like you're letting people in on your life and your story. And then it's also an authentic way to have your brand.
Okay.
And
like
then I think it's just very relatable.
Yeah. Like my client, one of my clients, she's a tax accountant. And so their firm, what they do is boring. Like, come on, taxes, really? We make it fun. So I come in there, and one of the first things we did was me come in as an influencer and say, I want to write all this stuff off. And she's like, you can't write it off. Sorry. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't write it off? Like, you know, they sent me this, blah, blah, blah. But you're now invested. You're invested into, wait, what's going on over here? This isn't my boring tax preparer over here. And that's what it is, because life is pretty boring.
But let me ask you this, and this is my opinion, right? His opinion.
His opinion.
It's his opinion, right? If I watch a skit, right, and all I see is just a booty walking into an office.
You're going back to. He's going back to.
No, hold on. I see a booty walking.
That's not a skit, sir.
I see.
I'm gonna watch it.
You might be on a different website.
Listen,
I'm gonna watch it. But I ain't buying nothing.
You're engaged.
I see a booty walking into an office,
paid
right?
for
That's
that.
all I saw. That's all I saw, right? And then they're doing this skit. They're being funny. They caught my attention. They caught the whole thing, right? And then it says so and so law firm, right?
Okay, I wasn't talking about that, and I don't think
I do
my
not
skit
want to
and her
use.
skit
I do not want to
did not
use a law
involve
firm.
booty in the first.
I don't want to use a law firm that.
Okay, you're still stuck on that same. You're still
That's
stuck
what
on
I'm
that
talking
same.
about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the interesting things that you post or that you post and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people that are doing these crazy things and using.
Well, I think that's already trickling out, though, isn't it?
It is, but
I mean, there's already too many. penny on the sitting and walking and doing that.
It has its waves because you have.
Well, you're just mad
you
because
have
it's
new
getting a lot of
people.
views. You don't know if they're getting sales out of it.
I'm not mad
I
about
could
it.
jump on your side of that. That's bothering because it's not woman empowerment
It's
at
not.
all.
No, I don't want to be represented that
listen.
way.
I speak on like setting boundaries as a woman
Yeah.
and things like that, especially within being in male-dominated industries. For instance, like I was in this woman event, and this girl was like, anytime I walk onto a construction site, people holler at me and like make me feel this way. I'm like, as a woman walking onto a constructive site, knowing that it's mostly male-dominated, maybe dress appropriately.
Yeah.
Say like, no, like I'm here for business. Like you have to set this standard.
Don't invite it.
Like when someone asked me like, who's your sugar daddy behind your company? I was just like, no, I started this thing from the ground up and I do not respect your comment.
Yeah.
So you have to be that like bold,
Yeah.
enforcing woman. And that's to me is woman empowerment.
And I agree with
You
her.
can't laugh and giggle
any
at that.
professional setting I'm in, you won't see me come in with my boobs showing, my ass out, because that is not what I'm selling. And I'm the most, don't even talk to me in that, like that's not what I'm here for. I look right here and I'm selling you something or whatever. That's what I'm trying to. And it's because it's important that that's what we are sought out for first,
Yeah.
not the other
Yeah.
assets.
And to just know that guys are going to be guys.
Yeah.
Like how many texts we get of like,
Yes.
hey, you want to go on a date? Like, no. But if you want to talk business, we can meet for coffee.
And,
Yeah.
and that's what I was gonna say. Guys are gonna be guys regardless of what you're wearing.
And that's not okay either.
Regardless of
and
what you're
that's
wearing.
not okay either.
And I didn't say-
We've been dealing with that for years.
I didn't say it was, but the thing is this, and that was gonna be my point, is that you have these people doing skits like that, right? And so what happens, it makes it harder for my realtors, right? For my business associates to do business because they think that, everybody is the same. Everybody's doing that. Look at what she's doing. Oh, she's calling me at, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and she's having lunch and coffee with me. This is a true story. I hired a real estate agent one time, and we were trying to train her, and she started talking about she gets on dating websites and meets guys on there and gets dinners and gets clients, and she's actually sold 2 houses out of it.
Okay, so you're just mad.
No. Listen. You see, and look at that. You see, and see what you're saying. You see what you're saying.
But here we
But
go.
listen what you're saying. Listen what you're saying. Listen what you're saying.
We
Listen what
use
you're saying.
it for our
So
advantage at times.
No,
that's
but her hustle is her
my
hustle.
point.
It doesn't.
That's my point. That's her
wait.
hustle. That's her
Absolutely
hustle.
not.
Here's
We're
my thing,
professionals.
wait.
But it's
We're
dangerous.
professionals.
But
We're
it's
not
dangerous
hustlers.
for my people.
It could be, but let me tell you something. I don't give a shit what anybody else is doing. If that works for you, fine, because my shit works for me.
Yes,
right? We
queen.
own our shit. So it makes it
And
hard
this
on
is
your.
why, and that's why they think that every girl
Here
who's
he
selling one
goes.
thing is
Now
selling
he's
the
talking-
same thing.
But my thing is
That's
like
exactly
it's like I
why.
tell my girls when they walk on the court. That girl, they're like, oh my God, did you see them? They're tall. They don't say they're beautiful, but they're tall. They're bigger than us. Da da da. I don't care because
Yeah.
what we worked on when you get on that court is going to intimidate them.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. So that is people that are intimidated and don't have confidence in themselves. I can walk in with the big BBL and the big boob girl and walk in. I'm going to own that. Before I leave that room, they don't even notice her butt and boobs because that's what I walk in with. So that's what I want to tell these women. That's what I want to train women to be. It doesn't matter your assets on the body. It's the assets that you're selling coming out from inside. And so it's saying that this is that. Let them be.
Yeah.
Let them live.
And that could be with any competition.
Let 'em cook.
Like we
Let
have
'em cook.
we have another private lender in our space that's moving and opening an office in Houston, and my chief operating officer was like, "Oh my God, they're coming into our space." I'm like, I don't care. I don't care who it is. So like, let them, do their happy hours and their events and bring in a bunch of partners. Like we can focus on us and like what we do and what we bring to the table. So whether that goes back to women selling in their ways, just sticking to what we do and not comparing. I feel like humans have the tendency to
when
always
women compare,
and
you're
think
going to
that-
be in a shit
and
ton
also
of trouble.
to think that like just because they're doing well, it takes from me. No, having the abundance mindset that knows like there's enough for everyone, and I attract the clients that I want to attract, and they're going to attract those type of clients. I'm not looking to attract those clients anyway.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree
y'all
with her.
completely glossed over like the main point because I do agree on the last half.
I
that
agree
you
with
guys
you.
had.
I agree with what
But
you're
hold
saying.
on, hold on. Let me bring this back, right? Because to bring it back to sports, like whenever the Patriots won with the deflated football, technically, they still won. They're still champs, right? But the way that they won, there
In a
is a
crooked
way.
system.
There's a way that you carry yourself within that game to be considered the actual champ. The same way in this business,
Well,
we carry ourselves
what about the Astros?
as professionals. Well, that hasn't been 100% proven. So, like in our business, we're professionals, and if somebody else is doing something that's unprofessional or unethical to get clients, then it not only makes them look bad, but the people who are trying to be ethical and who are being professional makes it 10 times harder for them. Is the reason why I believe in our industry it's too easy to get into it. I've always told Nate I believe you should go to school for 2 years in order for you to be able to work in real estate. I don't think you should just be able to get a license and work here.
Yeah,
Because that attracts a bunch of people who don't really need to be in this industry to begin with. So I do agree with it, right? Competition is great, what both of you guys were saying. Healthy competition is great, but unethical competition, how can you compete with somebody who's unethical? Right? Technically, you can't, right?
How do you clean up this whole world? Because it's walking.
You gotta
all
make
around.
it. You gotta make it harder for people.
I mean, listen.
You gotta call it out.
Trying,
whenever you see it, whenever you see somebody being unethical, you call it out.
Well,
and you're
no,
like, girls,
I'm
don't
saying
be
is
like that.
there's literally people walking around, but that it's a bunch of dysfunction going on
Yeah,
and different things. I don't think that my thing is we can't stop living and we can't stop our hustle, and you got to keep going. So that distraction, it's like there's so many distractions in this world. I can't focus on that.
You can't clean up the whole world.
Yeah,
I get that.
I gotta keep grinding.
But I'll tell you this: I consider myself an industry leader, and I'm an industry leader here in Houston, and so I can clean my organization.
Yeah, you can. Your platform is your platform,
and I can definitely only choose to do business with people that have my same values.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do, and that's why I'm trying to keep these these trash companies from Chicago to come down here and light realtors. That's why I'm trying to keep these big franchise brokers away from taking our money out to other states. That's what I fight. Those are my fights. Can I do it? I mean, is this something that I'm gonna accomplish? Probably not. But
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna stand on that business.
I'm a little bit different, so I just want to say no hate to anybody out there. I love everybody.
I'm not hating nobody.
I hope that you find your way, you find your passion, because sometimes you go through things in life and you change and you make it a better, decision later. I don't know. That's not for me to judge. I can only live for me and put on women that are really doing something and put a platform for them. But I do say that people are going to find themselves at some point, and what doesn't work, and they have to make a change. So
I agree. I agree 100% with that statement that people find themselves, right? But the thing is this, if I have something of value to tell you, right? And I see something and I tell you, just because I'm a man, don't gloss over it and just say, hey, you know what? I'm a woman and you can't tell me what to do.
Let him cook. We get it.
But to bring it full circle here, right? At least for me, myself, and my team, we do not respect unethical realtors. Nate could speak for the brokerage, but for me and my team, that is something that I do not put up with on my team. If I see you being unethical, if I see you getting leads in a way that I wouldn't want one of my family members to do it,
You hear that,
it
Drake?
does not.
Not
it does
over
not
here.
exist.
Drake, don't send the girls over here.
No.
Well, never mind.
He said, well, hold on. Which girls?
Oh, now you backtrack.
It depends, right? It depends. But I think that was a great pod. We do I actually have a meeting to go to right now. So go ahead and exit out. This was awesome. I really enjoyed the conversation. We don't all agree, but respectful conversation with pushback makes for great content, right? So go ahead and let you exit out, and then Janine, you can exit out and let everybody know where they can find you guys again, okay?
Okay, you can find me at Just New News Life, JUSNUNUSLIFE, or at Her Opinion Show, or if you want volleyball, at Spike Sport Volleyball.
Thank you for tuning in. You could find me at my personal account, Janine Cassio, or my business, Simple Lending Financial, through any of our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
You also have a podcast, right?
Yes.
What is it called?
Oh, yeah.
My podcast is called Simple Chat, but it doesn't have a separate entity. It's just through Simple Lending Financial.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you can find me in all my social media outlets at Better Call Nate. And I have actually been invited to her opinion.
Damn.
Is that right?
So was Jovani.
Jovani too. So we've been invited to her opinion. We're
Yes.
we're gonna go out there pretty soon.
Unfortunately, we're booked up through July. So yeah, we'll have y'all on soon.
We'll have some time to prep.
We'll have
Next
enough
year.
time. We'll have enough time to get ready for
Actually,
it.
no, Jen's real estate one is coming soon. So
Cool.
yes.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And you can find me, HBR, every single week. And also on Instagram as Jovani_Frank. Until next time.
That was great.